Welcome to Serenity Path, a space where life's deepest lessons unfold through the lens of wisdom, reflection, and acceptance. Today, we're diving into a powerful exploration of how to embrace the impermanence of life, understand the inevitable changes in our bodies and relationships, and learn to live with intention. This video isn't just another motivational speech, it's a journey into the heart of what it means to age with grace, to love without clinging, and to find peace in the face of life's inevitable transformations. With wisdom drawn from Buddhist teachings, real-life examples from powerful figures like Steve Jobs, Maya Angelou, and Nelson Mandela, we'll examine how impermanence, aging, and loss can be not just endured, but celebrated. Stay with us till the end because each lesson builds upon the last, and this might just change the way you view life's most profound truths. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments, and hit that subscribe button if you want more life-changing insights on embracing the journey. 1. Accepting the impermanence of life. In the Buddhist tradition, anicca, or impermanence is a core concept. It reminds us that everything, our bodies, our relationships, our very existence, are subject to change. Nothing lasts forever. This can be a tough pill to swallow, especially in a world that often values permanence and stability. But what if we learn to see this impermanence not as a burden, but as a gift? What if we viewed the fleeting nature of life as an invitation to live fully, to embrace each moment without clinging to it? The truth is, aging is a natural part of this impermanence. Our bodies change, our minds evolve, and the people around us come and go. Think about it, we strive to hold on to our youth, our beauty, our vitality. But no matter how hard we try, time moves on. The Buddha spoke of anicca to teach us not to resist change, but to flow with it, like a river that moves forward regardless of how much we wish it would stay still. We see this truth every day. Look at figures like Steve Jobs. In his prime, he was the face of innovation, revolutionizing technology and changing the world. But no amount of wealth, success, or power could stop the inevitable march of time. Jobs' untimely death was a stark reminder that no one, not even the most influential figures on earth, can escape the natural flow of life. And yet, his impact remains. His ideas, his creations, his legacy, they live on in the world he helped shape. In the end, it wasn't about clinging to permanence. It was about making every moment count while he had the chance. Consider the Zen parable of the river. A wise monk once asked his disciple, "Where is the water that was here yesterday?" The disciple, puzzled, replied, "It's gone." The monk smiled and said, "Exactly. The water moves on, but the river remains." This simple yet profound lesson teaches us that it is not the fleeting moments we should mourn, but the permanence we mistakenly think we can hold on to. Impermanence teaches us to let go of our attachment to things that will eventually fade. Just as the water of a river flows without holding on to any one drop, we too must allow the moments of our lives to flow through us. It's not about resisting aging or fearing the passage of time. It's about accepting that this journey is temporary, and therefore, every moment is precious. We can also look to the example of a tree. In its early years, a tree is full of vibrant green leaves, strong and tall. But as time passes, the tree sheds its leaves, and its bark becomes weathered. Yet, does the tree lose its value? Not at all. It may no longer be the same tree it was in its youth, but it has wisdom, strength, and a beauty that only comes with time. The same is true for us. Aging does not strip us of our worth, it adds depth to who we are. The key, then, is not to fight against the inevitable changes of life, but to embrace them with grace and acceptance. As we age, we accumulate experiences, wisdom, and memories. Just like a river that carves its path through the land, we shape our own story with each passing day. Instead of fearing what's to come, we can embrace life's impermanence as an opportunity to live more fully, to savor each moment for what it is, and to release what no longer serves us. By accepting the flow of time, we free ourselves from the anxiety of trying to hold on to something that will inevitably change. The beauty of life is not in its permanence, but in its transience. Just as Steve Jobs left a lasting legacy without clinging to life's permanence, we too can create meaningful lives by making the most of each moment, knowing that it will pass, but the impact of our actions can ripple through time. When we understand anicca, we realize that aging is not something to fear. It is simply another part of the flow of life, and in that acceptance, we find peace. 2. Befriend your body, it's your oldest companion. In Buddhist philosophy, the body is often seen as a vessel, a companion on the journey of life. We tend to think of it as something separate from us, as if it were an entity that we can control, command, and mold to our will. However, as time passes, it becomes clear that the body is not our enemy. In fact, it has been our most loyal companion. From the moment we took our first breath to the day we grow old, our body has been by our side, carrying us through every triumph and every trial. Yet, when we age, we often feel betrayed by our bodies. We used to be able to run up the stairs without a second thought, but now, even a short walk can leave us out of breath. The knees creak, the back aches, and the once nimble fingers seem stiff and slow. In these moments, it's easy to become frustrated, to blame our bodies for not being what they once were. But what if we shifted our perspective? What if, instead of fighting against the body's natural changes, we saw those changes as signs of wisdom, resilience, and experience? This is a lesson the Buddha shared when he spoke of the importance of acceptance. He taught that suffering arises when we resist the natural flow of life, and that includes the inevitable changes in our bodies. We resist because we are attached to the idea of youth, vibrancy, energy, strength. But as the Buddha said, attachment leads to suffering. The body, like everything else in life, is impermanent. It will change. And that's okay. The truth is, our bodies are not failing us, they are simply evolving. Each wrinkle, each ache, each gray hair is a sign that we have lived. They are the marks of a life well lived, full of stories, struggles, and growth. Our bodies carry the memories of every moment we've experienced, and instead of resenting them, we should express gratitude for all they have done for us. Just as a tree loses its leaves in autumn, our bodies shed their youthful strength, but this loss is not a tragedy. It is a natural part of the cycle. Consider the example of the great Nelson Mandela. In his later years, Mandela's body was frail, and he faced numerous health challenges. Yet, his strength didn't come from his physical body, but from the resilience of his spirit. He had endured years of imprisonment, suffering, and struggle, yet he emerged as a symbol of peace, wisdom, and perseverance. His body may have aged and weakened, but his influence only grew stronger, as his words and actions continued to inspire the world. Mandela's body had carried him through some of the most difficult times in history, and instead of viewing his aging as a loss, we should recognize it as a testament to the life he had lived. Another example can be found in the life of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. As she grew older, Justice Ginsburg's body faced limitations, but her mind and spirit remained sharp. She continued to fight for justice and equality, working long into her 80s, despite her physical challenges. Her aging body did not diminish her impact on the world, it only deepened the respect and admiration people had for her strength, resilience, and commitment to her values. Ginsburg's body had been her companion through decades of groundbreaking legal work, and instead of lamenting its decline, she showed us how to embrace the body's changes with dignity and purpose. We can also turn to a Zen story that speaks beautifully to this truth. There was an old monk who had once been able to carry heavy buckets of water from the river without effort. But as he aged, his arms grew weak, and he struggled with this task. One day, feeling frustrated, he asked his teacher, "Master, why does my body fail me? It used to obey my every command." The teacher smiled and handed him a cracked clay pot. "This pot," he said, "once held water without effort. But now it leaks. Does that mean it is useless?" The monk shook his head, understanding that the pot still had value, even though it was no longer as perfect as it once had been. The teacher continued, "The water that escapes nourishes the earth. Even though the pot is not as it once was, it still serves a purpose." This story serves as a powerful reminder that our bodies, too, still serve a purpose, even as they change. We may no longer be able to run as fast or lift as much, but we can still carry wisdom, love, and experience. Our bodies may not be as youthful as they once were, but they are still valuable. They have carried us through countless experiences, and they will continue to serve us as we move forward, even if in different ways. Instead of viewing our aging bodies as failures or burdens, we should learn to treat them with the same love and respect that we would offer a lifelong friend. This means caring for our bodies with kindness, giving them the rest they need, nourishing them with healthy food, and allowing them to move at a pace that feels right for us. As the Buddha taught, to care for the body is to honor the vessel that carries us through this life. Our bodies are not just vessels of physical strength, they are carriers of wisdom. They have endured hardship, joy, sorrow, and celebration. So, instead of resisting the changes they go through, let us befriend them. Let us show gratitude for the many years they have carried us. Let us move gently with them, like an old friend who has been with us through thick and thin. When we do, we unlock the peace that comes from embracing our bodies, not as something to be controlled, but as something to be cherished. 3. People will drift away, and that's okay. One of the most painful realities of life is the impermanence of relationships. As we grow older, we inevitably witness the ebb and flow of friendships, family bonds, and the connections that once seemed unbreakable. People come into our lives for reasons, often for a season, but as time passes, many drift away. And while this can feel deeply personal, the Buddha's teachings remind us that this, too, is a part of life's natural flow. Relationships, like everything else, are subject to the law of impermanence. We might ask ourselves, why do people leave? Was I not enough? Did I fail them? It's easy to take these departures personally, to wonder what we did wrong, or why the closeness we once shared is no longer there. But Buddhism offers us a perspective that can free us from this sorrow. The Buddha taught that attachment to people, just as with all things, is a source of suffering. When we cling to relationships and try to hold on to them forever, we resist the natural unfolding of life. This resistance is what causes us to suffer, not the change itself. In the same way that we can't hold on to a single drop of water in a river forever, we can't expect relationships to remain static. They flow, change, and sometimes fade. It's not about the people leaving us, it's about our attachment to the idea that they should stay. The truth is, relationships are like seasons. Some last a lifetime, others are brief, but all are valuable in their own time. Consider the life of a figure like Barack Obama. He has had friendships, colleagues, and mentors who have come and gone throughout his career. Yet, what stands out about Obama's life is not the people who left, but the influence he continues to have on others, regardless of their proximity to him. His relationships, built on trust, respect, and shared goals, may change over time, but the essence of those connections, what they taught him, how they shaped his path, remains with him. This is similar to the Zen story about the river, which offers a powerful metaphor for our relationships. The young monk asked his master, "Why do people leave us, even when we love them?" The master took the monk to a riverbank and pointed to the flowing water. "See how the water moves," he said. "Some drops travel together for a time, while others quickly separate, carried away by the current. This is how relationships work." The monk, deep in thought, began to understand that people come and go, not because of something we've done wrong, but because they, too, are part of the natural flow of life. People will come into our lives, leave their mark, and then move on, just as the water flows. Their departure doesn't diminish the beauty or significance of the time spent together. Instead of mourning their absence, we can cherish the moments we shared and appreciate the lessons they brought to us. Another example comes from the life of the great author, Maya Angelou. In her later years, Angelou spoke often of the people she had lost throughout her lifetime, friends, family, mentors. But she didn't dwell on their absence. Instead, she focused on what those relationships had taught her, how they shaped her work, her writing, and her understanding of the world. Her relationships, like a river's current, changed course over time, but their impact on her life was undeniable. Even as people left, their influence remained embedded in her soul. What we must remember, as we navigate through the inevitable losses of life, is that love does not end with the physical presence of others. The essence of the relationship, the warmth, the connection, the shared moments, continues to live in us, woven into the fabric of who we are. Just as the river's water never truly disappears but moves on to nourish other lands, the love we share with others continues to nourish us long after they've moved on. When people drift away from our lives, it's not an indictment of our worth or our value. It's simply part of the natural ebb and flow of existence. We often spend so much energy trying to hold on to relationships, fearing the pain of loss, but in doing so, we miss the opportunity to honor the moments we had, to learn from them, and to allow new relationships to bloom. If we learn to accept the transient nature of relationships, we free ourselves from the suffering that comes from attachment. We begin to see each connection as a precious gift, not a permanent fixture. We can cherish those who remain, invest in new friendships, and continue to grow, knowing that every relationship, no matter how fleeting, has something valuable to offer. Aging teaches us this lesson. As we grow older, we may experience more losses, but we also gain a deeper appreciation for the connections that endure. The love, the wisdom, and the kindness we've shared with others do not vanish when they leave. Instead, they live on in us, shaping the person we continue to become. So, when you find yourself grieving a relationship that has faded, remember the river. Don't mourn the water that has flowed past, instead, honor the ripple it left behind, and let it guide you forward. Embrace the impermanence of relationships, and you'll find that the love they brought to your life continues to enrich you, even when they're no longer physically present. 4. Embrace your changing appearance, it's a gift. As we age, one of the most immediate changes we notice is the transformation of our physical appearance. The once smooth, youthful skin becomes more delicate, our hair may turn gray, and the lines on our face begin to tell the story of the life we've lived. For many of us, this process can be a source of deep discomfort. Society teaches us that youth is beauty and that aging is something to hide, to cover up, or to fight against. We see advertisements for creams, surgeries, and treatments all promising to preserve our youthful glow, to turn back time. But what if we viewed aging differently? What if we could learn to see the signs of time not as flaws, but as a testament to the beauty of experience? In Buddhist philosophy, we are reminded that the body, like everything else in life, is impermanent. Our physical appearance is no exception. The Buddha taught that attachment to the physical form leads to suffering. If we tie our identity and self-worth to how we look, we set ourselves up for disappointment, because, like all things, our appearance is constantly changing. The Buddha's wisdom offers us a path to freedom by encouraging us to release our attachment to our physical selves and instead focus on the deeper qualities that make us who we are. The truth is, the lines on our faces and the gray in our hair represent something far more valuable than mere beauty, they represent wisdom. With age comes a wealth of knowledge, experiences, and stories that we carry with us. Each wrinkle, each gray strand of hair, is a reminder of the life we've lived, the lessons we've learned, and the moments we've cherished. Take the example of someone like the Dalai Lama. His face, marked by the years of his incredible life, filled with both suffering and peace, speaks not of physical beauty, but of a deeper, more profound kind of radiance. His wrinkles tell the story of decades spent in meditation, teaching, and advocating for compassion and kindness. There is a beauty in his appearance that goes beyond the surface, one that reflects the wisdom, humility, and peace he embodies. His aging face is not something to hide, it is something to celebrate, as it symbolizes the life he has lived and the impact he has had on the world. This idea can be illustrated through the Zen story of the elderly woman who, feeling disheartened by the changes in her appearance, went to a wise master for advice. "Master," she said, "I look in the mirror and no longer recognize myself. My beauty has faded. My hair is gray, my skin is lined. I feel invisible." The master took her to the garden and pointed to a cherry blossom tree in full bloom. "This is beauty, is it not?" he asked. The woman nodded. "Yes, it is beautiful," she replied. Then the master led her to an ancient pine tree, its bark weathered and twisted. "And this?" he asked. "What do you think of this tree?" The woman hesitated, then said, "It is different, but there is something dignified about it. Something strong." The master smiled and said, "You see, the cherry blossom is beautiful because of its fleeting nature. But the pine tree, though it has weathered and aged, is strong and dignified. It carries its own beauty. In time, you will come to see that your aging appearance is not something to mourn, but to appreciate. It represents the strength and wisdom you have gained over the years." This story beautifully illustrates the shift in perspective we must make as we grow older. Youthful beauty is fleeting, like the cherry blossom that blooms for a short time, but the beauty that comes with age is enduring. It is the beauty of a life well lived, of lessons learned, of wisdom gained, and of love shared. As we age, we learn to appreciate the pine tree's quiet dignity, its weathered branches, its twisted bark, because we see it as a symbol of strength, resilience, and wisdom. Think of someone like Helen Mirren. As she has aged, her appearance has changed, but she radiates a confidence and grace that comes from fully accepting the passage of time. Her beauty is not about trying to hold on to her youth, but about embracing the wisdom and strength that come with the years. She has learned to wear her age with pride, to show the world that the aging process is not something to fear, but something to celebrate. In Buddhist terms, the concept of anicca, or impermanence, teaches us that attachment to beauty, especially youthful beauty, is a form of suffering. We cling to the idea of staying young because society tells us that this is where our value lies. But true beauty, as Buddhism teaches, is found in the acceptance of change. It is found in the kindness we share, the wisdom we impart, and the love we offer. Our physical form may change, but these deeper qualities only grow stronger as we age. As we look in the mirror and see the changes in our appearance, let us not focus on what has faded or been lost. Instead, let us see those changes for what they truly are, markers of a life well lived. Every wrinkle, every gray hair, every line on our face tells the story of our journey. They are not flaws to be hidden, but treasures to be embraced. Aging is not about fighting to preserve the body's youthful appearance, it's about accepting the changes with grace, appreciating the beauty that comes with each stage of life, and recognizing that the body is simply a vessel carrying us on our path. When we shift our focus from external beauty to the inner wisdom that aging brings, we can find peace with our changing appearance. The wrinkles are not signs of decline, they are the map of our lives, each line marking a story, a lesson, a moment. We don't need to chase after youth. Instead, let us learn to embrace the wisdom and beauty that comes with age, for it is a gift, not a loss. So, when you catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror, remember the pine tree, remember Helen Mirren, and remember the Dalai Lama. See your beauty not as it was, but as it is now, the beauty that comes with age, with experience, and with grace. 5. Love never dies. Grief and loss are part of the journey. As we age, we inevitably encounter more loss. Loved ones pass away, friends drift apart, and we are left with a void that cannot be filled by time or circumstance. Grief is something no one can escape, no matter their wealth, success, or achievements. It is part of the human experience. And yet, in our culture, we are often told to move on, to let go of the pain and continue with our lives. But Buddhism teaches us something profoundly different. It teaches us that grief is not something to get over. Instead, it is something to live with, to learn from, and to carry forward. The Buddha understood that attachment is the root of suffering. But he also knew that love itself is a powerful force that transcends life and death. Love, once given, never truly fades. It may change form, but it continues to exist in the heart, in the actions we take, and in the people we become. The people we have lost live on within us, woven into the fabric of who we are. Their love, their lessons, their presence, they remain as long as we keep them alive in our hearts. Take the life of someone like Maya Angelou, for example. Throughout her life, Angelou faced numerous losses, family members, mentors, and close friends. But instead of allowing grief to overwhelm her, she allowed it to deepen her understanding of love and life. In her later years, she often spoke of those who had passed, not with sadness, but with a deep sense of gratitude. She understood that love does not end with death, it continues, evolving and living on through the impact it had on our lives. This truth is beautifully illustrated in a Buddhist parable about a woman named Kisagami. When her young son passed away, she was overwhelmed by grief. Unable to accept the loss, she went from house to house, seeking a mustard seed from a family who had never known death. She believed that by finding a family untouched by grief, she could find a way to bring her son back. But after visiting every home in the village, she realized that every family had experienced loss. Everyone had lost someone. She returned to the Buddha, her heart heavy, but her understanding deepened. The Buddha explained to her that grief is a universal experience, something that binds us all. It is not something to be fixed, but something to be understood and integrated into our lives. Grief is often seen as something we must overcome, something to move past. But as we grow older and experience more loss, we begin to realize that this perspective is flawed. Grief is not something to conquer. It is something to live with, to hold in our hearts, and to honor as a natural part of the human experience. Instead of trying to push away the sadness, we can choose to embrace it. We can allow it to deepen our appreciation for the love we shared with those we have lost. And we can carry that love forward, passing it on to others through our actions, our kindness, and our compassion. Love, once given, never dies. It may change form, but it remains with us, quietly influencing our lives in ways we may not even realize. Think of the elderly who, despite having lost many loved ones, continue to love with great depth. Their hearts, shaped by years of grief, are often more open and compassionate than those who have not yet experienced such loss. They understand that love does not vanish. It lives on in the way they care for others, the way they listen, the way they offer comfort. Their hearts are repositories of the love they have given and received, and in this love, they find peace. Consider the legacy of Nelson Mandela, a man who experienced immense personal loss throughout his life, most notably, the long years he spent separated from his family due to his imprisonment. Yet, Mandela's capacity for love and forgiveness only grew as he aged. Despite the hardships he endured, he never allowed bitterness or grief to define him. Instead, he used his experiences to shape a life dedicated to justice, equality, and peace. The loss he suffered did not destroy him, it strengthened his resolve and deepened his ability to love others. Another example is the life of the poet and philosopher, Rainer Maria Rilke, who wrote extensively about love, death, and the human condition. In his letters to a young poet, Rilke wrote, "Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final." His reflections offer a deep understanding of grief, not as something to escape, but as a passage through which we grow. Loss, Rilke suggests, is part of the process of living fully, and in this loss, we find a deeper connection to the world and to those we love. Grief, in Buddhist terms, is a natural part of dukkha, the universal truth of suffering. But it is also a catalyst for growth. Through grief, we learn the depths of our love. And in honoring that love, we honor the people we have lost. We keep them alive in our hearts, in our actions, and in the way we move through the world. The key to dealing with grief is not to fight it or deny it. It is to understand that grief is not a sign of weakness or failure. It is a testament to the love we have given and received. When we accept grief as a part of life, we can begin to heal. We can find peace in the knowledge that love never dies, and that those we have lost continue to live within us. Grief does not have to be an ending. It can be a new beginning, a chance to reconnect with the love we still carry, to honor the people who shaped our lives, and to share that love with others. As we age, we may encounter more loss, but we also gain a deeper understanding of the impermanence of life. And in that understanding, we find peace and strength. So, as we walk through life and face the inevitable losses that come our way, let us remember that love never dies. It flows through us, through our actions, our memories, and our kindness. And as long as we continue to love, those we have lost will never truly be gone. 6. Embrace the present, let go of the past. One of the most profound teachings of Buddhism is the impermanence of all things. We cannot hold on to the past, nor should we cling to it. The more we hold on to what was, the more we tie ourselves to suffering. The Buddha teaches that attachment, whether to memories, experiences, or even people, leads us to unnecessary pain. While the past shapes who we are, it is not where we should live. The present moment, the now, is where we must find peace. It is so easy to get caught up in the nostalgia of what once was. We romanticize our younger years, our past relationships, or the moments that we think were better. But when we live in the past, we neglect the opportunities and beauty that are unfolding right before us. The past is gone, and while it may have been filled with joy or pain, it no longer exists except in our minds. We cannot change it, but we can change how we let it affect us moving forward. Look at figures like Warren Buffett, a man who has lived through decades of change, financial shifts, and personal losses. Despite the many ups and downs he's encountered, Buffett has always maintained a focused perspective. His attention is fixed firmly on the present and future. He does not dwell on past mistakes or missed opportunities, but instead, uses the wisdom from the past to inform his current actions, with an eye toward the future. His success has been built not on clinging to what was, but on embracing the present moment and making thoughtful, mindful decisions that set the stage for the future. In the same way, we can choose to move forward by accepting that the past, no matter how rich with meaning or sorrow, is not a place to live. It is a place to learn from, but not to dwell in. If we constantly hold on to what once was, whether it's lost love, past regrets, or former successes, we carry unnecessary weight that prevents us from experiencing the beauty of the now. There's a Zen story that captures this beautifully. A student once asked his teacher, "Master, how can I be at peace in my life?" The teacher took him to the river and pointed to a stone in the water. "What is that stone doing?" the teacher asked. The student replied, "It's just sitting in the water, doing nothing." The teacher smiled and said, "Exactly. It is not clinging to the past. It simply is. The water flows around it, the world moves on, but the stone remains as it is. You, too, must learn to be like the stone. Don't fight the current. Don't hold on to what has passed. Just be." The lesson here is simple, yet powerful. We must learn to let go of the past, to not hold on to it with clenched fists. Just like the stone in the river, we need to allow life to flow around us, accepting change and finding peace in the present moment. When we do, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and experiences that would otherwise pass us by if we were too busy clinging to what was. Think of someone like Oprah Winfrey. Throughout her life, Oprah has experienced profound moments of joy and immense challenges, abuse, loss, failures, and mistakes. Yet, she has never allowed the past to define her. Oprah's focus has always been on the present and future. Her ability to embrace the present moment, even in the face of personal pain, is what has made her a symbol of resilience, grace, and success. Her approach to life teaches us an important lesson. It's not what happened yesterday that defines us, but how we choose to live today. Oprah didn't let her past, however painful, dictate her future. She chose to move forward, grow, and embrace each new moment with an open heart. In Buddhist teachings, the practice of mindfulness, being fully present in the moment, is a way to break free from the grip of the past. When we are mindful, we stop dwelling on past regrets or future anxieties. Instead, we bring our full attention to the present, appreciating what is here right now. The more we practice mindfulness, the more we can free ourselves from the mental and emotional baggage of the past. The key to embracing the present is to stop letting the past hold us captive. The Buddha taught us that true freedom comes from understanding that we cannot control the past, but we can control how we respond to it. When we accept the impermanence of life, including the impermanence of our memories and experiences, we can find peace in the present. The truth is, the past is a series of moments that we can no longer touch. It has shaped us, yes, but it is not where we need to live. Letting go of the past allows us to experience life with a fresh perspective, free from the weight of what has been. It opens us up to new experiences, new relationships, and new opportunities that are right before us. As we age, we can become more and more attached to the past, what we once were, what we once had, or who we once knew. But the beauty of aging lies in our ability to look forward, to embrace the present, and to live fully in the now. When we stop fighting against time and stop clinging to memories, we free ourselves to truly experience life in its richness and depth. In conclusion, the key to embracing aging and life itself is to live in the present. Let go of the past. Let go of the need to control it, to hold on to it, to relive it. Instead, embrace the present moment with all its beauty, wisdom, and impermanence. When you do, you will discover a deeper sense of peace, a freedom that comes from accepting life as it is, right here, right now. 7. Live with intention. Purpose is the path. As we grow older, one of the most important lessons we can learn is to live with intention. The Buddha taught that suffering arises when we are driven by desire and attachment, and the antidote to this suffering is to live with purpose, mindfulness, and clarity. To live with intention is to be aware of each moment, to make choices that align with our deepest values, and to approach life with a sense of direction. Purpose is not something that can be found in external achievements or possessions. While we may seek recognition, wealth, or status, these are fleeting and impermanent. True purpose is found within, in the way we choose to engage with the world and the impact we have on others. When we live with intention, we become fully present in our actions and decisions, rather than letting life pass by unnoticed. Consider someone like Mahatma Gandhi. His life was defined by intention, a deep commitment to nonviolence, justice, and truth. Gandhi's purpose was not shaped by external circumstances or recognition, but by the values he held deeply in his heart. His actions were always driven by this sense of purpose, even in the face of great adversity. His life was not without hardship or loss, but through it all, he remained focused on his mission. In the end, it was his unwavering commitment to his purpose that left an indelible mark on the world. Gandhi's life shows us that purpose is not something you can simply achieve or acquire, it is something you embody. It's in the way you approach each day, in how you interact with others, and in the choices you make. When you live with intention, you stop reacting to life and start creating it. You move forward with a sense of clarity and conviction, knowing that your actions are aligned with your core values. This concept of intentional living can be further explored through the teachings of the Buddha on right action and right intention, which are key aspects of the Noble Eightfold Path. Right action is about living ethically, doing no harm, and contributing positively to the world around you. Right intention is about cultivating a mindset that is free from attachment, greed, and hatred. It's about acting from a place of love, compassion, and wisdom. Living with intention does not mean living without challenges or difficulties. It does not mean that life will always be easy or without obstacles. Instead, it means that when difficulties arise, we can approach them with a clear sense of purpose and a calm, focused mind. We can ask ourselves, what is the right action to take here? How can I live in alignment with my values, even in this difficult situation? By constantly reflecting on our values and acting in accordance with them, we give our lives meaning and direction. Think of the impact someone like Marie Curie had on the world. Her life was dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge and scientific discovery, and she never wavered in her commitment to her purpose, despite facing discrimination and immense personal hardship. Her research led to groundbreaking discoveries that continue to influence the field of medicine today. Marie Curie didn't live for fame or fortune, she lived for the greater good of humanity. Her life serves as a reminder that purpose doesn't come from external recognition, it comes from living authentically and pursuing what truly matters to you. Another example can be found in the life of the famous author, J.K. Rowling. Before writing the Harry Potter series, Rowling faced numerous challenges, including poverty, depression, and rejection from publishers. Yet, her sense of purpose, her commitment to telling a story that was meaningful to her, kept her going. She could have easily given up in the face of these challenges, but instead, she chose to follow her passion and share her story with the world. The success of Harry Potter was not just about writing a best-selling book, it was about living with purpose and following her calling. When we live with intention, we are not driven by the whims of external circumstances. We are not swayed by the opinions of others or the fleeting desires that often pull us off course. Instead, we are guided by a deep sense of purpose that aligns with who we truly are. This purpose becomes our North Star, helping us navigate through the twists and turns of life with clarity and focus. In our later years, it becomes even more important to live with intention. Time becomes more precious, and the desire to make a meaningful impact on the world intensifies. But the beauty of living with purpose is that it doesn't require grand gestures or extraordinary accomplishments. Purpose is found in the everyday moments, in the kindness we show to others, the way we take care of ourselves, and how we live in harmony with our values. A life lived with intention is not a life that is devoid of challenges, it is a life that embraces those challenges as opportunities for growth. It is about knowing that your actions, no matter how small, are aligned with something larger than yourself. Whether it's a simple act of kindness, a decision to live more sustainably, or a choice to care for your health, each intentional action contributes to a life of meaning and fulfillment. So, as we age, let us remember that purpose is not a destination, but a journey. It's a journey that requires us to stay present, to live in alignment with our values, and to act with clarity and intention. When we do this, we can find peace, knowing that each day, we are living in a way that is true to who we are and what we believe in. And in doing so, we create a legacy that transcends time, one that is built on the foundation of purposeful living. If you've made it this far, I hope you found clarity, peace, and a new perspective on how to navigate aging, loss, and the impermanence of life. Remember, the wisdom we carry is not in the preservation of youth or perfection, but in how we live intentionally, embracing every change with an open heart. As we age, it's not about holding on to what's slipping away, it's about being present, living with purpose, and loving deeply, without attachment. Let go of what no longer serves you, and step forward with grace. If this message resonated with you, share your thoughts below and join the conversation. Let's walk this path together, with peace, purpose, and mindfulness. And don't forget to subscribe to Serenity Path, where wisdom meets the everyday journey. Until next time.